Hi everyone, I'm John, this is Just A GearHead, and in today's episode we're going to try to get the transmission back in the Century. Stay tuned. Alright, so like I said, we're going to continue working on the Century, putting stuff back together. We're going to try to get the transmission in today, and then we'll see, probably continue working on the engine if we have time. I have the transmission sitting on my creeper, and kind of bent it a bit, I think. Got back from the transmission shop, they went through it, fixed everything up that needed to be fixed, put in a little bit of a shift improver kit, just a stage one, simple one, nothing too fancy. They put on a new mount for me. When they were going through it, turns out the input shaft was kind of the wrong type of input shaft for this car. So this transmission probably wasn't original to the car. I think they said it was more of like a truck transmission or something, or the input shaft was for like the truck style or something, because yeah, it wasn't the right depth, which it might have been part of the reason I was having such a hard time getting the drive shaft out, because they were saying that under compression, when the drive shaft comes forward, when the rear suspension is drooped or compressed, it looked like my yoke was smacking into the back of the input shaft. So they put in the proper input shaft, so it might be a little bit easier for that drive shaft in. And now that I'm looking, I'm going to have to get that bar out of the way, and now I finished taking that off. So I'm going to have to get that out of the way first, and then we can slide this under. I'm probably going to have to take it off the creeper so I can slide it under the car, and then I'm going to have to rock it back and forth until I can get it up and in there high enough that I can get a jack under it and whatnot. There'll be a lot of fighting and messing around. They did put on a little piece of metal to retain the torque converter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that on for a little bit until I get it under the car, and then once I start lifting it up, I'll take that out and whatnot, just so that the torque converter doesn't slip forward. It's all the way back and engaged, so I don't want to have it moving around while I'm trying to slide it under the car. But we'll get that bar out of the way, and then we'll get started on this. That's out of the way. Alright, well, ran through a snag. These ears on the transmission make it wider than the header space, or the space between the two headers, which means I'm going to have to go through all the effort of taking probably one of these headers off. Which one? Probably we'll start with the passenger side one, because I think that bottom bolt is a little easier to reach on the passenger side one. And now that I got that brake side of the way, I think it'll be easier to get in and out. Alright, well, we'll remove that header. And in case you guys didn't watch the other video, the reason these headers are such a pain is there's a bolt under these two pipes that's really hard to get to, and on the driver's side it's near impossible to get to, and it's shorter, but it's just barely shorter, and if you don't do it in the right order, you get stuck, and that one was a real fight. So this one was a fight too, but this one, at least the bolts are a little easier to get to. So take this one out, and fun. Alright, so now we fought and got the header out of the way, we can try to get the transmission in. Hopefully I don't have to take off the driver's side, because that one's worse. Alright, so the transmission is in. We jacked it up and whatnot, and managed that the bottom bolt started. And then I had to lift up on the crank of the motor to tilt the motor back so I could do the top two bolts and suck everything together. But it's all connected, everything's lined up pretty good now. Talina had to come out and give me a hand because it's quite a fight to get that transmission up in there. I don't really have the right stuff to do it. It would be a lot easier if I had any sort of lift or I don't know, whatnot. If anybody wants to send me a lift, that'd be great. But anyways, so yes, thanks to Talina, I managed to get the transmission in. Now I'm going to put the header back on, cross member to hold up the back of the transmission, solder up the bolts on the flywheel or flex plate, I mean, and then start reattaching all the hoses and whatnot in the shifter for the transmission. But yeah, I think I'll start by putting the header back in. Alright, before I started doing the headers, I decided to do the transmission brace support, whatever you want to call it, and the hurling lines on the transmission as well. Those were a bit of a bugger for some reason. I didn't want to go back into their home. This went okay. I did have to wedge the transmission over a little bit so I can get it centered. Should be fine. But yeah, now I can start getting that header up in there. So there's the header back on. Bit of a pain in the butt. And while I was doing that, I broke my oil feed line for the oil pressure gauge out of its fitting. So we're going to have to see if I can find some new fittings for that. Probably have to order some. Hopefully I can get them here quickly. Or I might have to get a whole new feed line kit. I don't know if they sell the little pressure brass fittings separately or not. Well, having the transmission in and the motor tilted down fixed my problem with the exhaust cleaner in the floor. I didn't realize I was quite that far tilted forward. But yeah, the engine must have been fairly far tilted forward because now I have lots of clearance here. Did make it in this in a little bit more tricky, but not too bad, about the same as it was before. That brace bar that you can see here on the driver's side is actually touching, so I might have to remove that. We'll see. That's right there, it's touching. It still doesn't fit on this side. I tried test fitting to see if it would go back in, and it still runs into the header. So we'll leave that out, and I'll debate about taking this one out, because I don't think I want it to be rubbing like that, so I'm going to end up having to remove this. And the other one, those just spun. I had to cut it off with a cut-off wheel, so I might have to do that on this side too. But anyways, we'll do the bolts for the torque converter to the reindeer flex plate, and then we'll put the cover on, the inspection plate cover. But it's hard to film under here, so I don't know if I'll show you much of that. Basically what I have to do is spin the motor around a bit until the bolt holes line up, and then put the bolts in. And maybe I'll set you over there somewhere so maybe you can kind of see. torque converter bolts are on, suspension plate is on, the speedo is hooked up, the shift cable is hooked up. I'm not sure what that little bugger does, but it's hooked up. Can't remember. This spot where the shift cable is hooked up, I should just remove this cotter pin. This was so covered. Oops, sorry. The cotter pin right there. Focus. Yeah, so that cotter pin right there. I should have removed that to get this off, but this was so caked on with oil and mud and stuff that I didn't see the cotter pin, so I undid the bolt. But yeah, it would have been easier if I just popped that cotter pin. So that's all hooked up. The cooler lines are hooked up. I just have to hook up a line to that there. This is, I think, for the downshift. And the transmission will be done. But I can't hook up that until I find the hard line that went up to there, which I'm not sure if I kept it or if the transmission shop didn't give it back. And I have to go find the dipstick also, so I'm not sure where my dipstick is for this. But, so it's 90% installed. Well, I found a dipstick tube and dipstick, and I just broke it. So I'm going to need a new dipstick. The transmission. Damn it. Son of a bitch. Alright, well I just broke that. And I did find what I believe is the hard line for the vacuum modulator that does the downshift. But anyways, guess I'll order a new transmission dipstick. Fun. Actually, I might have one that'll fit. I'll have to double check. Alright, well, I don't have another one that's the same length, so I'm going to have to get a new dipstick. Because, yeah, I got that part off. But anyways, the tube's on. I got the line for the vacuum thing. I think it was tighter before, but I don't know. We'll figure it out when I set up the carburetor and stuff and figure out where I'm going to actually hook that up to. Might have to bend it again and change it with the new manifold. But anyways. Alright, so got the transmission in. It's all hooked up. Got the header back on. Did not get as much done to the head as I wanted to, but fighting that transmission and whatnot, it was just a pain in the butt. But that'll be it for this episode of Just A GearHead. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys want merchandise, please check out the link to my Redbubble page in the description. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.